think will win the customer.
This conference is an oil and gas conference. You have a fleet of electric cars rolling around somewhere here, from what I understand. Why is GM bringing an electric car to an oil and gas conference?
I think it's an
itching for a fight, I think.
I think it's an energy conference.
Okay.
And I think we all have to work together.
That too.
I think we have to work together to find the right solutions. But General Motors, we believe in an all-electric future. We're working to a goal where we have zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. And we've got to work together to create the infrastructure, for us to have the products, to drive the cost down. But I think it's very important for the globe.
Yeah, and let's talk about the growth, because we had the CEO of Saudi Aramco. We did an interview in exclusive with him a couple of days ago, and he said, listen, it's going to be an oil world for generations to come. EVs have a role, but they're so small now, even at fast growth, they're not going to be a huge part of the transportation fleet market globally for decades. Do you disagree with that?
I think it's going to happen more quickly than decades. I do believe that we'll have internal combustion engines for a long time, and we're working with every new vehicle to make those vehicles more fuel efficient, to use technologies so they can be more fuel efficient, better for the environment. But when you look at the growth, we've announced that we'll have more than 20 EVs by 2023, and when you look at places like China, where there's a portion of it's being regulatory driven. And the other thing I looked at, I think, is a really important data point, is there you're talking about the Chevrolet Volt or the Chevrolet Bolt EV. Those are some of our most satisfied customers. They love that vehicle. So as more and more people get recognize that we have the right range, understand that we have a charging infrastructure, so they don't think they're going to be stranded, I think you're going to see EV adoption continue.
Yeah, and I think you're making some news today by increased production of the Bolt?
Yes, absolutely. We're very excited about that. We've had really strong feedback from the customers on the Chevrolet Bolt EV, and so we are announcing that we'll be increasing our production.
From what to what?
And we haven't given the specific numbers, but we are reacting to customer interest and demand.
Theoretically, could that bring new jobs?
Of course, in that factory, as and it's being done at our Lake Orion plant, which is just north of Detroit. That will mean additional jobs.
We asked the CEO of BP this same question yesterday, Mary, which is, what is the role of the industry in building out the infrastructure? I like gasoline cars because we know there's going to be a filling station somewhere nearby. What is GM's role in building out the infrastructure so the consumer knows, wherever I go, I've got a place to recharge this car?
Well, I think what you said is the very most important thing. You've got to have good consumer confidence that they're going to be able to drive their vehicle and it's going to support their daily lives and their hectic life of what they're doing. And so we see a role in investing, in partnering, and making sure that customer need is fulfilled. And so I don't have anything to announce today, but we're working on some potential partnerships and also on what we need to do. But we believe the infrastructure piece of it is very important. But a lot of people don't realize there's already 17,000 public charging stations in the United States. Yes.
There's that many?
There is.
But do you see a role then for your industry? Some people say, well, the government should do it, but private industry should do it. Whose role is it to pay for it?
I think we all have to work together to accomplish it. I don't think it's one single answer. I think there's going to be multiple solutions, and I think everybody's got to play a role.
I saw a pretty amazing stat, which is, I believe it, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2.6 billion miles driven by a GM EV. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's a lot of miles.
It is a lot of miles.
What have you learned? I know you're collecting data constantly, right?
Absolutely. Well, and what we're learning is that the EV customer loves their vehicle. They love the fact that they can, many of them charge at home, or they're finding places to charge when they're at work. They're recognizing, and I think it's like 80% of most people, their travel is less than 25 miles. So they are getting to a point where they're always on electric power, if it's a hybrid, like the Chevrolet Volt, or on the EV, of course. And so they're recognizing that they're not giving anything up. And the other part that's really, I think people think they're going to have to give something up is it's fun to drive. I mean, that torque. Exactly, that torque is right.
Combustion lag.
So they're fun.
What is the car of the future going to? You said at the beginning an all-electric future, but will it have a little gas engine just in case, maybe as a kind of alternator? How will it look?
We see an all-electric future. We have the Volt that does have both, but going forward we see pure electric vehicles.
And we, as you noted, we are at an energy conference. If I said oil and gas, they're going to get mad, but it is an energy conference, which means if everyone's rolling around in an EV, we're going to need to produce a lot more power in this country. Do you worry that we're not going to have the needed investments in the energy grid and the infrastructure to add all the power so I can plug in my car at home?
Well, and we've worked with a lot of energy companies on that issue because we need to make sure, and we can do it in a cost-effective way, and also that it's clean power.
Will we own cars in the future? Well, if somebody's watching as a 5-year-old, will that 5-year-old, when he or she grows up, will they own a car, or will they just share a fleet of GM electric vehicles?
Well, I hope they do, but I think what you're going to see as we go forward, I mean, we already have the book by Cadillac, where we're offering different models for people. So if you put the customer in the center and you understand their use case, we can provide almost an unlimited amount of solutions to make their transportation needs as efficient as possible. And that's what we're doing at General Motors.